Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Allevo's seed treatment to protect your soybean crop.
Joining me is Hannah Thompson-Weeman. We're at Animal Agriculture Alliance. And Hannah, tell us a little bit more about what's the role of your organization. First, who does it serve?
We work to safeguard the future of animal agriculture and its value to society by bridging the communication gap between farm and food communities. So we're here to correct the narrative, set the record straight, and communicate accurate, balanced information about modern animal agriculture.
Do you work more with individual producers or commodity groups who then help to trickle this information out?
The Alliance has members from all across animal agriculture. Our membership is comprised primarily of companies and associations, so trade associations, commodity groups, checkoffs at the state and national level that represent beef, pork, dairy, chicken, turkey, eggs, seafood, corn and soy, obviously because of animal feed, and then companies as well, animal health, nutrition, genetics, processors, integrators, restaurant, retail. Those are all folks we have involved among our membership, but it typically is companies and associations who in turn work with farmers themselves.
You didn't say pets, but I'm going to guess by the time you cover this whole other area, the concept is there that we're helping provide a future.
We do a lot of collaboration with other animal use industries, so not just animal agriculture, but companion animals, dog breeders and others who have animals in their business are also dealing with some of the same issues, as well as research. So animals that are used in research, entertainment, zoos, circuses, aquariums, really anyone who has animals as part of their business navigates some of the same challenges, and we do collaborate.
When you say challenges, you think all the industry talk about, you would think the owners of people are a part of that. It's one of the number one goals is to take care of this animal because of how it fits into the industry. So what is the opposition, or is opposition not the right word?
Unfortunately, there are groups and individuals out there who just don't believe there's an ethical and responsible way to raise animals for food. We're talking about animal rights extremists who believe that animals should be afforded rights analogous to those enjoyed by humans, and that means we shouldn't be using them for any purpose, for entertainment, for transport, or for food. So for these individuals and groups that we're talking about, it's not about sustainability, it's not about animal welfare, it's not about how we're doing it. If at the end of the day what we're doing is using animals, they want to see that come to an end.
Hannah, how do we get more information about your organization and how we might be able to use it locally?
We're very active on social media, so you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and then on our website, animalagalliance.org. We have a lot of resources for the industry, but also farmers to understand activism and implement farm security measures, as well as be vocal communicators in your community.
Hannah, thanks for the update.
You're welcome. OH.
Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We've got an interesting week of weather headed toward the Buckeye State. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. After the little bit of snow that moved across parts of Ohio over the weekend, we're going to be mostly dry, or at least precipitation free, here for Monday. That's due to the fact that high pressure is building in and is going to give most of us a short break. I do think some clouds may linger through your Monday in southern parts of Ohio down near the Ohio River. But we have 4 Clipper-like systems that want to try and move through the Great Lakes and Eastern Corn Belt here over the course of this week. Wave number 1, I think this is mostly a Michigan event through tomorrow, but we can feel a little bit of this down to probably US 30 in Ohio. Keep the door open to a fresh coating to an inch or so, dusting if you will, getting closer to the shadow of Lake Erie. Wave number 2 comes into the Great Lakes overnight Tuesday night into Wednesday, and I'm looking for that to bring together a nice little round of precipitation. The low tracking a little bit farther south, so I think a good 60% of Ohio can see a coating to an inch or two out of that through Wednesday. We'll take a little bit of a break on Thursday as high pressure tries to come back in, and then late in the week, Friday night through Saturday, wave number 3 can give us a coating to an inch of snow with about 80% coverage, and yet wave number 4 still wants to come through Sunday afternoon, the 14th, into Sunday night, and can give us a dusting to an inch or so there. So if you're keeping track at home, plenty of chances of snow this week. We stay cold into Monday of early next week, and then see a significant warm-up for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with rain on Thursday. So look out, mud season can be coming very quickly. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. President Donald Trump has ordered his administration to examine anti-competitive behavior, price fixing, and the effects of foreign ownership on the food supply chain and its impact on Americans. President Donald Trump has issued an order for the Justice Department and Federal Trade Commission to examine the food industry and look at issues such as price fixing and the impact of foreign-owned companies on food prices. In a new executive order issued on Saturday, Trump laid out the importance of ensuring lower food costs for Americans. An affordable and secure food supply is vital to America's national and economic security. However, anti-competitive behavior, especially when carried out by foreign-controlled corporations, threatens the stability and affordability of America's food supply, the new executive order stated. The DOJ and FTC will look to see whether there is evidence of criminal collusion, as well as consider possible new regulations for the food industry. The order points to price-fixing court cases that major meat packers and other companies have settled in federal court as one reason for the order. In recent years, certain companies in the American food supply chain have even settled civil suits accusing them of price fixing for tens of millions of dollars. Food supply sectors, including meat processing, seed, fertilizer, and equipment, have similar vulnerabilities to price fixing and other anti-competitive practices. Despite mentioning seed, fertilizer, and equipment, the order doesn't mention any role for the Department of Agriculture in the new task forces to look at the effects such practices may have on farmers. And oil futures rallied Friday, December 5th, on news reports that the group of 7 countries, maybe better known as G7, and the European Union could ban all Western tankers from carrying Russian oil, a development that would affect near-term energy supplies. Media reports said Friday that the G7 and EU were in talks to replace the $60 barrel price cap on Russian oil exports with a full maritime services ban. The new restriction could impact a third of the oil the country carried via Western tankers to India and Chinese refiners located mostly in India and China, the report said. Now, traders said Russia would have to expand its fleet of non-Western shippers in the event the ban came through. They noted that Russian diesel supplies were already affected by Ukrainian strikes on refineries and by U.S. sanctions targeting Russian energy firms. All this while, Washington tries to find a solution to the near 4-year Russian-Ukraine conflict. This is certainly going to further disrupt the access the world has to Russian oil, particularly at a time when global diesel supplies are already tight, said John Kilduff, a partner at New York energy hedge Again Capital. Russia's decision to delay a quick end to the war in Ukraine, unless the settlement was on its terms, also contributed to the bullish settlement in the oil futures market. Back with more after this.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at the Ritchie Brothers' next Great Lakes Regional event on December 16th and 17th. This absolute unreserved auction will feature online bidding, and items are located in Columbus, Chicago, and Detroit. Choose from close to 3,000 items, including a wide selection of construction equipment, semi-trucks, and more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Great Lakes Regional event on December 16th and 17th. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com.
When you combine the advanced technology of Enlist E3 soybeans with Seed Consultants' dedication to performance in the Eastern Corn Belt, it's a simply better experience. Our Seed Consultants brand soybeans are hand-selected, tested, and proven to perform in your conditions, backed by the local knowledge of Seed Consultants sales professionals. Buy into better soybeans with reliability and results packed into every variety. Visit seedconsultants.com.
Be sure to join us midday today as we'll check in with the latest with Eric Tipton of Fayette County. He'll be the incoming president of Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Association, and we're looking forward to catching up with Eric. Also, the live cattle complex had a terrific day on Friday, rallying throughout the futures complex and seeing continued demand in the cash cattle complex as well. But what was most exciting for the market potentially to see develop was the rally in the Fed cash cattle market. Also, ended up being a stellar week for the feeder cattle complex as the market was able to conquer its 40-day moving average ahead of the week's end. It not only saw support and interest throughout the futures complex, but also in feeder cattle in the countryside this past week. With the help of stronger trade in the live cattle complex and stronger fed cash cattle trade, the feeder cattle complex had all the support it could have ever wished for. The lean hog complex was also able to rally through the day's end, thankful for the continued fundamental and technical support. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information on your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the week on Friday under a little bit of pressure as we're starting to see some technical breakdowns on the soybean charts, and that may be starting to spill into other things. Let's take a look back at the trade on Friday. Corn finished down 1 to about 2.5. Beans down anywhere from 11 to 14 on the day. Bean meal was down. Bean oil was weaker. Wheat markets were down in both Chicago and KC markets. USDA did announce on Friday rumored soy sales to China. However, the soybean chart is showing that we may have peaked out here. I've been watching a head and shoulders formation, head and shoulders top, for the past little bit, and it seems like now we're starting to put in the other shoulder to the downside. Actually, we put in the shoulder. We're coming off of that shoulder. On Friday, USDA confirmed exporters in the last 48 hours had sold 462,000 metric tons of soy to China. That largely matched the expectations or what the rumors that we had heard over the course of the prior few days. This is going to be implying much more demand being needed through the balance of December to justify USDA's annual soy export forecast. That you recall that the pace analysis in both sales and shipments argues for a cut to USDA's forecast here this week of at least 50 million bushels, and that will only be partially offset by larger projected crush. On a known basis through December 5th, reported by USDA on the flash sales side, China since late October has purchased about 2.7 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans, adding the potential flash sales to unknown destinations from late October to December 5. That total is 3.3 million metric tons. Remember, the number that has been floated by us and China and everybody else is 12 million metric tons. We saw that target be pushed out till end of February by Treasury Secretary Bessent this past week. But even if you assume that you have until late February, the target is very optimistic, and that is going to be something that I think may come home to roost in the markets here in the days ahead, especially going toward the holidays. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, December corn up 1/4 cent at $4.37. March corn down 1/2 at $4.44 1/4 cent, and May $4.51 3/4 down 1/2. January beans down 7 1/4 at $10.98. March $11.09 1/2, down 6 1/2, and May $11.19, down 6 1/2. The July wheat down 1 1/4 at $5.49 3/4. September down 3/4 cent at $5.62 1/4 cent. In livestock at Friday's close, December cattle up $5.70 to $227.15. February up $3.15 to $227.15. December lean hogs, $81.65, up 52 cents. February up 42 at $82.27. April was up $1 at $86.77. March feeder cattle, $333.30, up $3.57. April up $3.62, bringing it to $332.22. And May, $330.47, up $3.42. Thanks for joining us. This is the Ohio AgNet.